This is the Novice Showmanship class for the Spring Showdown virtual show number 2 with Jessica Bowman. Before we start reviewing videos, I wanted to do a quick run through on the pattern and read through it. The first part is you're going to walk to A. It's important here to remember that you want your horse's nose to the cone. You'll make your 90-degree turn, trot around. You want to have a nice loop, kind of a half circle, then a straight line. Make sure that you find your center between A and that judge. That's a place that a lot of people get a little unsure of, but the center is where your body is. So when your body, you as the exhibitor, gets to the center, that is when you want to stop, perform your 360, walk to the judge in that straight line, continue through your inspection with a 90 and a walk away. All right, our first exhibitor is Stacy and Kissed on an Impulse. Stacy was 6th place in our class. So right off the bat, we do want to make sure in a pattern like this that when we are at that start cone, that when you're looking at your horse and we do inspection, those same boxes apply when you're waiting at the start of that pattern. So at the start of this pattern, we really want to see the exhibitor on the other side of the horse, ready to be knotted off. And then when they are released to do the pattern, they would cross over and start their walk. She gets a little bit close to the cone. This is a young horse, so he has a little bit of a step out in the pivot. He trots off pretty nice. Follows along good with her. She's in a good spot right by his throat latch. Nice quiet stop. I like to see that. Now here he's young, so we're getting quite a few penalties, each being 5 points in that pivot. Nice straight walk. I like to see that. I like her hands. I would like to point out the halter fit a little bit. I know this is a young horse, but halter fit is really important in the showmanship. It has a lot of effect on how your horse responds to that chain. Okay, an okay setup. I know the flies are bad, but unfortunately in showmanship, anytime the horse picks its foot up and puts it down or moves it, you will either get a 3 or a 5-point penalty, even if it's a fly. Okay, nice position as she crosses over. I like her footwork. I like her presentation. Okay. A little bit better pivot there, one little slip up, but not too bad. Again, young horse, but she's doing a really good job with him overall. Okay, 5th place is, I'm not sure how to say this, if it's Talina or Talena, forgive me for that one. Okay, this one, it looks like we didn't go nose to cone, so this is a pattern you want your horse's nose to that cone. We were kind of off to the side. A little bit of a foot slide in the pivot, so we did incur a penalty there, but a nice trot off. She's right in sync with her horse. They took off right with her. A little bit of an overshoot on the turn at the trap. She not too bad, and she found her straight line right after that. Got all the way to the center. Taking her time in the pivot. Move of the foot there, so we have a penalty for that. But she's doing a good job keeping the horse's body nice and straight. She completely closed her pivot. Walking a nice straight line to the judge. I like her arms. I'd like to see her looking up at the judge, making some eye contact as she walks up. Some of that excess loop, we want to have a nice loop. It's kind of just hanging out in her left hand. Now for this one, again, unfortunately, we do have penalties when that horse picks his foot up and stomps, but I also want to point out that this horse is resting, and resting is also a penalty in the showmanship, so make sure that your horse is standing up with weight bearing on all 4 feet. Okay, right here we want to keep our toes facing our horse. We don't want to turn around. Okay, good. She's taking her time again in the pivot. This horse does move, but I still like to see how straight she keeps his body. She has a really nice straight walk away and keeps her position. So nice job. Okay, and our 4th place is Kellen and Double the Melody. Okay, nice setup at the beginning here. I really like this exhibitor's position. It's really soft, it's expressive. The horse is moving off of her body, squares up into a stop, really nice pivot, closes the pivot, finishing each maneuver before she takes off. Nice and straight here. Horse is dragging a little bit in the shoulder, but not bad. Again, she's nice and fluid. I like to see that. Need to let that left front foot close the pivot a little bit and you'd get more credit in the score. Okay, hands are a little bit high. I'd like to see them just a little bit lower, flatten the wrists out a little. It's an okay setup. I would have liked to see this exhibitor take a little more time, get the horse underneath itself in the front a little bit more, get its front legs just a little bit closer together so it's standing a little bit more square. And then right here, because we're a little out in front of that horse, he drags the shoulder and slips in the foot a little bit, which incurs a 5-point penalty right at the end. But overall, really nice pattern, really nice exhibitor position. Our third place is Amy and a Jewel from Heaven. I really like how prepared Amy is at the beginning of her pattern. I'd like to see the hands come up a little bit, a little stronger walk, but I do understand we kind of had a tight space there to squeeze that walk in. Nice smooth pivot. A little bit doggy on the trot off. I think if the exhibitor took a bigger stride, stood up a little bit, picked that right hand up to match the left, you'd see a little cleaner takeoff. Found her line really well, finished her trot before turning around to ask for that pivot. This horse is doing a nice pivot, leaving that shoulder a little bit behind, so not quite as credit earning as it could be. And the horse is drifting off to the left of the judge just a little bit here and then stopping crooked. And part of that, I think, is the hand position. We want to always have our hands level with each other, elbows back to our sides with a bend in them. Okay, pretty decent setup, not 100% square, but still credit earning. It was quick, it was smooth. I like this. Amy's checking her horse out, then making eye contact with the judge. I like to see her close her footwork with her feet just a little closer together each time. And then right here, we kind of straighten that arm way out. We want to keep that arm bent to our side and stay in that same position. Otherwise, nice 90 at the end and a nice straight walk away. Okay, our second place horse was Ariana in Lopin' for Diamonds. She's set up really well at the start here, ready to present. Nice crossover. I like her body position. Horse is dragging that shoulder just a little bit. If we can get them to keep their spine straight, stay straighter in the body, you'll get more and more credit in those turns. Hits her line really well coming to the judge. I like her stop. The horse is straight. Same thing towards the end of this turn here. The horse gets a little bit curled and she has to kind of wait and push it to close that last left front foot to close the pivot. Nice stop. We do hit the chain a little bit, but overall it was still clean. Horse stayed straight. Quick setup. Feet are just a little bit off, so we did minus half this, but very close. I like the way she's presenting. Her hands are staying level. She's not letting her wrists droop too much. Her footwork is the same every time. There's a lot of consistency in this exhibitor, which is very credit earning. Pleasant expression. Okay, left hand gets a little high in this pivot. Same thing again with that shoulder, but a nice straight walk away. Overall, really nice pattern. Okay, and then our winner for this class is Noelle. Noelle has her horse set up really well at the beginning. Really like her position. Her hands could be maybe a tad higher, but really nice. Finishes her maneuver, goes right into her pivot without a big pause. Finishes that 90 with that horse really straight underneath itself. Hits her line really well. Goes right into her pivot. She pays attention to her horse, closes her pivot really straight, keeps the horse straight through the pivot. A little bit of a pull left here. I would open up my right hand a little bit so I'm not pulling my horse's head off to the side. Quick setup. This was a credit earning setup. Really nice footwork in the crossovers. She's checking her horse every time she crosses over, making sure it's still set up. Then following that with eye contact with the judge each time. That's really important in showmanship, as this is a class that really proves that you can show your horse at the halter. Again, nice pivot, closes it completely before turning to move on to the walk. Nice job, Noelle.